Okay, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles debut video has dropped, so we're going to watch through it, see what we can learn about the draft format. Let's dive on in. Okay, first card, Turtles in Time. It's a 7-drop, sorcery. That's generally not a good sign for limited. It's a mythic rare, though. Return all creatures to their owner's hands. Each player may shuffle their hand and graveyard into their library. Then each player who does draws 7 cards. So kind of a big reset, but then your opponent gets to redeploy first. There's not really a way to break the symmetry by like having a certain creature type of your own in play. I don't think this is going to be very good in draft. When are we now, Donatello? Yeah, I don't think this is going to be great in draft, but looks like a cool card for like Commander or something.
Starting with their very first appearance in black and white comics.
Okay, black and white comic book versions. These are going to be kind of hard to read, but I didn't even know there were black and white Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics, but kind of cool, I guess. 3 and a white for Leonardo. It's got sneak, so that means you can kind of like cast it if you have like a unblocked creature. Sneak is 2 white, so for 4 mana it comes in as a double striker. During your turn, you may cast creature spells with power toughness. I think it says 1 or less from your graveyard. If you cast a spell this way, that creature enters with a finality counter on it. Interesting. Some graveyard stuff for a white deck, but small creatures only. And then Donatello is 3 and a blue. Mutant mechanic. It's a 3/5. Put 3 counters on target artifact you control. So maybe an artifact theme in blue this set. If it isn't a creature, it becomes a robot. The text over the cards, I've never been a big fan of. Like, why would you make it hard to see what the card's doing? Like, put the signature over the art portion, maybe. But whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters onto 1 target artifact or creature. So seems like a pretty good card, honestly, if there's an artifact theme in the set. You play this guy, all of a sudden you're turning your artifacts into 3/3s. When they die, you get to buff up your creatures. Donatello seems pretty good to me, just hard to read.
This set features a very special collection of cards drawn by the co-creator of the Turtles, Kevin Eastman himself.
Wow, they got the artist that created Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to do the art. That's pretty cool. Honestly, that's like a cool aspect of these collaborations. Like, I'm not the biggest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles person, but getting the actual artist that like created it, pretty cool. To do some art. I did watch the show a little bit, or some of the movies that came out when I was growing up. And I just like Leonardo because he had a blue headband and he used swords, but I mean, they're all kind of cool. Raphael Ninja Destroyer, 2 red, 4/4, must be blocked if able. That's generally pretty good. Can't really some tough spots if you're on the draw, especially. When it's dealt damage, add that much red mana until end of turn. You don't lose this mana. So not the craziest card, but still pretty solid. And then Michelangelo's 3 and a green. He's got sneak, so you can kind of get him into play if, though not for a mana discount, just already attacking. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may put a creature and or land card from your hand onto the battlefield. That's kind of cute because if you sneak it in by returning an unblocked creature, then you can then put that creature back into play depending on what it is. Maybe retrigger an ETB. Michelangelo seems pretty solid. They're all kind of beefy creatures, like 4/4s, 3/4s, 3/3 double strike, 3/5. The turtles in these ones are kind of big, so these cards definitely seem like they're going to be kind of early picks. The Donatello one is a little less flexible because it needs artifact synergy, but maybe that'll be a blue something deck, maybe blue-white, blue-red. That sometimes are artifact stuff. But yeah, going to be hard to use the Raphael mana sometimes, I think, but pretty cool. Okay, there he is. He's curling his bowling balls. 2 mana, 1/3. It's a common. There's common legendaries again. They're bringing those back from Spider-Man. Those ones were kind of annoying because you would like not realize it was a legendary, and then you'd like cast a second one and it would die. But I think it's going to be ameliorated a little bit. I think that's the proper word usage, because they have the digital rights. So on Arena, it's not going to be a card that like is not clearly legendary. Like Raphael is clearly legendary. Alliance, whenever another creature you control enters, deals 1 damage to target opponent. Not a particularly great card, honestly. I think we've seen stuff like this. Actually, wait. 2 mana, 1/3. This was very similar to the card we saw in. I was getting it confused with a different card, but this is very similar to the card we saw in Tarkir Dragonstorm. That was actually really good. That was with the raid mechanic. It was a 1/3 reach, and it was an uncommon, pretty good. Actually, this card's grown on me the more I've talked about it. This is a pretty scary effect, though. The fact that it's legendary does mean that like if you take one early, like how many copies do you want in your deck? 1/3s don't always die. Anger is a dangerous ally. It clouds your judgment. You need to control it lest it control you. Splinter. Whenever another creature you control enters, deals 1 damage to target opponent. Honestly, pretty solid common right there. That could be one of the better red commons. Though being legendary does make it a lot worse because stacking these up would be pretty scary. Whoa, there's like 1 at each rarity. Interesting. Okay, that kind of makes sense. So there's Raphael Most Attitude, which is going to have 4 mana, 4/3 menace. It has Alliance as well. Another creature you control enters, you may exile the top card. When it attacks, you may play a card exiled with Raphael. You still have to pay the mana for that, I think. But you can play lands. That's pretty good value. Nice little 4/3. You need a couple things to go right. You need to be able to attack profitably, but it has menace, so that helps. That seems like a good card, most attitude. Not the Night Watcher. 2/3 with sneak. Attacking creatures have double strike. You can get this in pretty early. That's pretty scary. Time to punch in. And then we saw the Ninja Destroyer already, which, yeah, honestly, the uncommon seems pretty decent here.
These turtles come in common, uncommon, rare, and mythic varieties. Keep an eye out for all the other versions of Donatello, Leonardo, and Michelangelo as well. Donatello.
So what are they doing with the black cards then? Because I think it looks like Donatello's the blue one, Leonardo's the white one, which is a little bit, and then because they don't have all the colors lined up because they don't have orange, or I mean they already have blue, but they wanted Donatello to be the blue one because they don't have purple. Oh man, Leonardo being a white ninja like as the color identity kind of makes sense, but it is still kind of like jarring in my head. Anyway, well, I guess the black ones will be like Shredder or whatever the bad guys are. I don't really know anything other than like Shredder being a bad guy.
Is the turtle's resident.
Okay, we already saw this card. This was the cool, like looking like custom art signature one, but I guess this is the full version. Whoa, they team up. Okay, Don and Leo, problem solver. So there, we get a blue version with Leonardo. 4/6 vigilance for 5 mana, hybrid mana. Hybrid mana is really good and limited. Always remember that because it gives you a lot of flexibility. Beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target artifact you control and up to 1 target creature you control, then return to the battlefield. So good with enters effects. Kind of gives a couple of other things. Pseudo vigilance. Seems like a pretty solid card. You can get some good value out of this.
And Mikey is the fun-loving heart of the turtles.
The fun-loving heart of the Turtles, Mikey. Raph and Mikey, troublemakers. 7 mana, 7/7, trample haste. Okay, that's going to end a lot of games. When it attacks, reveal cards from the top. Until you reveal a creature, put that card onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Again, it's a hybrid. 7 mana is a lot for some decks, but you hit a 4-drop off this, you pretty much just end the game. So if red-green is like a beatdown deck, this could be pretty good, because, I mean, really anything. You get free value out of this. Unless you hit like a 1-drop that they can block for free. This card's going to be pretty annoying in draft. It's going to mess people up. But it does cost 7, so you can get underneath it at least, or you can counterspell it. We'll have to see if there's a cheap counterspell in the set, because that would make this card a lot worse, especially if the counterspell is like pretty reasonable. They have a van. Okay. 3 mana, 4/4, crew 1. Okay, crew 1 is a big deal, makes it really easy. When it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature that crewed at this turn. Then if that creature is a mutant, ninja, or turtle, double the number of +1/+1 counters on it. So maybe there's a +1/+1 counters theme in this set. 3 mana for a 4/4. It has to attack. You have to have a creature that like is crewing it up, and then you kind of want that creature to be not crewing it up in the future because it's going to get bigger. And then how many mutant ninjas and turtles are there? I mean, we know that are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's like the commons and uncommons for each of them. But how many are you going to be able to get that are not ninjas or turtles or mutants that are outside of those ones? We'll have to see. But I think seems like kind of mid, honestly. 3 mana, 4/4. The stats are decent, but it's not always a creature. Vehicles are kind of hard to use. It's really a very aggressive vehicle. Not the best on D. It's going to be interesting.
To defend their
it's a rare too. Okay, for some reason I thought this was lower rarity. Yeah, this is going to be pretty solid, but it depends on how many cards you can make huge. 3 mana, 4/4, pretty sizable, but crew 1 is easy. I don't know. Krang, Utrom Warlord. Okay, I definitely don't know Turtles enough to know who this guy is. Maybe he's one of the main bosses. Okay, 9 mana is just so much for limited. There's no cost reduction mechanic. Flying, trample, indestructible, haste. Other artifact creatures you control have flying, trample, indestructible, haste. So is there going to be a ramp? Is there going to be a way to cheat things into play? Because I don't think you're going to get to 9 mana a lot of the time. It's an Utrom robot, so I'm sure somebody knows what that is. But yeah, Krang. Seems like a card that I'm not going to take very highly because it's just so hard to get to 9 mana in limited unless there's like a dedicated ramp deck.
Krang and his Utrom forces traveled all the way from a different planet to attack the TMNT.
A different planet?
Luckily, the Turtles have a lot of allies.
Okay, April O'Neil, Hacktivist. That's funny. 4 mana, 1/5. Beginning of your end step, draw a card for each card type among spells you've cast this turn. Okay, so if you cast like an artifact creature, you draw 2 cards. If you play this thing, you'll draw 1 card on its own because you cast a creature. In the fight between mutants, ninjas, and aliens, don't underestimate a resourceful human. Yeah, that shows how much I know about the TMNT lore. I didn't even know there were aliens. Okay, well, seems like a pretty great card. 4 mana, 1/5 isn't the best stats, but immediately draws you a card. And then if it doesn't die, you're going to draw cards like every turn, at least 1, because you're going to cast something, because it's drawing you more cards. April O'Neil seems fantastic. Yeah, this is going to be a bomb rare. This card's messed up. Splinter Radical Rat. So he's a black-white. Does that make sense with his character? I guess it reminds. I guess Greasefang's a black white rat as well, but and then it's got blue. 2/4. It's a mutant ninja rat. Okay, ninjas trigger twice. Target ninja can't be blocked this turn. It seems like a pretty annoying card. You can play this in like you really want to have the blue ability available, and then the hybrid mana is a little bit less impactful because it's only 3 mana, so you can't always cast it on 3 mana unless you're playing black white. It might be like Spider-Man with like different color combinations being supported. So if black-white isn't a deck, that might be hard, but blue-black, I mean, giving stuff unblockable is pretty scary, so seems like a solid card.
And surrogate father, who raised the turtles and made them the warriors they are today.
That flavor text is fantastic. The first rule of the ninja is do no harm. Unless you need to do harm, then do lots of harm. Yeah, I do remember this character. They have like the hockey mask. Goongala. Don't know what that means, though. I guess that's their catchphrase. 3 mana, 4/3 is pretty sizable. When it enters, draw 3 cards at the beginning of your upkeep. Discard 3 cards at random. That's a little bit strange. So you don't really get a good chance to use the 3 cards you drew. That's kind of a downside ability, honestly, because you cast this on turn 3. But if you draw in the late game, you play this, then you get like if you have like 3 extra mana, maybe you draw a land, you play the land, play a 4-drop. I mean, it's probably upside, but it makes it really awkward to play on turn 3, so keep that in mind.
The turtles face
Cowabunga. Okay, they had to make a card with this catchphrase in it. When you're open to new things, a weird world of wonder unfolds before you. So let's look at the top 4 cards. You may reveal a Mutant Ninja Turtle or land from among them. I like that they put it in the order like Mutant Ninja Turtle. I guess that's also alphabetical, which is maybe their templating, but it kind of is nice. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is like the sort of card that plays out pretty decently, especially if you have like 1 or 2 really good mutants, ninjas, or turtles to get. Because you're like finding a land. You can maybe shave a land in your deck if you have a couple of these. And then you're hitting more action in the late game. I like these sorts of cards. Okay, we already saw the Tough Turtle. The Slash Reptile Rampager. 5 mana, 7/5. Okay, already big. Another creature you control enters, deal 2 damage to each opponent. Okay, that's a lot of damage. When it attacks, you get a 2/2. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty strong. Yeah, that's going to be really annoying. Just like kill on sight, or like it attacks, you have to block it, you take 2 immediately. And they'll end up with a 2/2 and they've dealt 2 damage, and if they play creatures pre-combat, you're taking like 4 damage. Yeah, that card's really good.
Other Magic the Gathering mechanics are also
Other Magic the Gathering mechanics, just as a little, had to throw in Magic the Gathering here somewhere. Ninja Teen, so 3 mana. It's a class. When a creature you control leaves, each opponent loses a life. Okay, that's not great for 3 mana. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and have mana. Still not that great for 5 mana. Creature cards in your graveyard have sneak. Oh. That's interesting. So you can like cast creatures from your graveyard on your unblocked guys. I don't think this card's very good. You have to spend so much mana and then have an untapped blocker at the end of it. I mean, unblocked attacker. It does give your guys menace to make that a little easier, but it's just so much mana for this effect. I don't think this is going to be good in draft. Okay, Michelangelo. We already saw this one with the weird art version. Or not weird, I guess. I mean, unconventional art version. Which it does look pretty cool, that art version. I just don't know why the signatures are cross the text. Okay, Shredder's Technique. It's Sneak. I have to say this. Sneak is not my favorite mechanic. It's like ninjutsu. It's one of those mechanics that it makes it really awkward to play because you find yourself in these situations where you're like, well, I kind of have to block their guy so I don't get wrecked by the sneak card. But if I do block their guy, I'll get wrecked by whatever combat trick is in the set. And so oftentimes there's like, if they make a combat trick that really punishes you for blocking, like the ones that like leave permanent +1/+1 counters on a creature, you just end up in a spot where like you don't really have a good option when it comes to blocking. And you're just like, well, if I don't block, I get wrecked by the sneak cards. If I do block, I get wrecked by these combat tricks. And it's just really like I don't find it to be like that satisfying of a gameplay experience, at least with ninjutsu. It's also very like aggressive oriented, where you end up in spots where like your cards don't do much because you're like on the back foot. But when you're on the play, you just absolutely decimate people. And so it makes play draw more impactful. And yeah, those are just some factors in the mechanics. But okay, Shredder's Technique. 3 mana, Sneak. You may cast a spell for black if you also return unblocked attack you control to your hand during declare blocker step. So it's like ninjutsu for spells as well for the Sneak. Destroy target creature enchantment. If an enchantment was destroyed this way, you lose 2 life. Yeah, so you get like a super efficient removal spell for 1 mana if you're like able to make profitable attacks. So just kind of snowbally. Yeah. Very strong card, I think. I mean, the backup mode of 3 mana sorcery speed kill a creature is pretty reasonable too, or enchantment. The last Ronin's Technique. I guess I might be blocking this one a little bit. Create 3/1/1 white Ninja Turtle spirit creature tokens. If this spell sneak cost was paid, they enter tapped and attacking. Oh my gosh. So you get 2 mana 3/1/1s. Like, the difference between casting this for 4 and casting this for 2 is insane. Also, it's instant speed, so you can already cast this on their end step. Yeah, this card seems pretty strong as well. Like Sneak. Definitely a scary mechanic. Okay, Krang and Shredder. Definitely one of the villains. Shredder's the only one I recognize, to be honest. But I think this other guy, we already saw him, the 9-drop. Krang and Shredder, 6 mana, 6/7, already good stats. Blue-black's getting some beefy creatures these days, but it's hybrid, so you can cast it in blue or black. When it enters or attacks, each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. Okay. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent left the battlefield under your control this turn, you may cast a card exiled with it without paying its mana cost. Okay, so you can't really get the value immediately a lot of the time unless you like attack them. They make a chump. They make like a block. So you like chump attack into them. Then they play this, and then they get to cast something for free. This card seems messed up for sure. Like there's gonna be maybe some sacrifice themes or some way to get your own stuff to die, or even just leave play. So like if you sneak something in, you just get to like cast their stuff for free. This card's gonna be really strong. 6 mana, 6/7 is also huge. It's like sometimes you're gonna have a 1 window turn to kill this, but dealing 7 to something is sometimes hard too, depending on your color combo. This card's really good. Okay, Mutant Chain Reaction. Destroy up to 1 target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. Create a mutagen token. So mutagen token, you can sack it to put a counter on a creature. So there is probably a +1/+1 counter scheme. Artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. So that seems like more of a sideboard card than anything. Interesting. 3 mana sorcery. Kind of rough for such a niche card, unless there's a ton of flyers. The Ooze. That's kind of cute art. Whenever a creature you control with a counter on it leaves the battlefield, create a mutagen token for each +1/+1 counter on it. Exile target card from a graveyard, create a mutagen token. So making a lot of these tokens. The Ooze. Interesting card. So I guess it's only really great in a dedicated counters deck, but it kind of fuels itself in the late game if you can exile. I guess you can exile any card from a graveyard, so it's not just creatures from a graveyard to get those mutagen tokens. That actually seems pretty decent. You can start growing any of your creatures into big threats. Yeah, seems like a pretty good card, honestly. The Ooze. Okay, Donatello Gadget Master's a new card. 3 mana, 3/2. When it deals combat damage, create a token that's a copy of target artifact you control. So he's definitely an artifact-themed guy. Also, I've skipped through a bunch of this video because a lot of it was like commander deck cards, and then there's about 50,000 versions of each of the artworks on the cards. It's kind of wild how like many artworks they commission for one set these days. Like I didn't like think about it, but they have like a Japanese version of a lot of the cards. They have like comic book art. I mean, there's some really cool looking art, gotta be said, but it's like there's almost so much of it that it all feels like a little much to me. And I don't like to be a downer on anybody, things that they enjoy, but there's like, I think that's kind of cool that they have ones that like look like the original video game characters, which I didn't really play that much because I went to arcades very rarely, but like you'd be like, oh, they look like a video game guy. And then you're like, you see these ones look pretty cool. And then you see the Japanese ones, and you see the ones like the TV show, and then you see the one that looks like the comic book cover. It feels like a lot of stuff. And the fact that you only very rarely see each of these cards because they're only in like collector boosters. And when you do see them, you're going to be confused because you don't see them very often. It's an interesting balancing act. And I wonder how it's going to play out. Okay, well, there you have it. That is the premiere. I mean, my initial thoughts. I learned a little bit about the draft format. There seems to be an artifact theme, a +1/+1 counters theme. The sneak mechanic's going to be kind of interesting to play around. It's going to be a challenge, but we'll have to see how good the combat tricks are because it might just be a set where you just block everything. And then I guess just we'll have to see how the theme plays out. It definitely feels like one of those things where it's not as harmonious as some of the other Universes Beyonds we've had. It is a little bit jarring looking at some of the cards, I'll be honest. I don't like to be a downer, but I do like to be honest. So it does feel a little jarring sometimes, but I mean, I think some of the card designs look kind of cool. And there are some, I mean, I do think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are kind of cool. Like definitely cool when I think about them outside of this context. So we'll see how it all plays out. And I look forward to battling with some of the new cards. And I'll be making plenty of videos to help you get ready for any events you want to play.